Hi guys, my name is Maddie and welcome to episode 2 of my podcast, Unfiltered. Today, honestly, I am sitting here. It is a gloomy, rainy day and I have just been having so many thoughts. I feel like my head is battling. I feel like one side of my brain is battling with the other side of my brain. So what better way to get through that than to just film a podcast episode? I don't really have too many people to talk to, so why not talk to everyone? Also, before we also do begin, if you are watching the video, I do have a tank top on, but my baby is laying on me and taking a little nap, so I promise I am not naked. But to get into what's been on my mind, has anyone else ever really struggled with horrible, toxic family dynamics? Dysfunctional families? Because I am from a dysfunctional family. If you know nothing about me, and maybe you didn't see the first episode, I did mention that I grew up in a divorced household. My parents got divorced when I was 4 years old, and the way that I was raised, I would see so my mom whole week, dad whole week. That's how I lived the majority of my life until I would say around I think I was 17 years old. So from 4 to 7 basically. At first I did just see my dad on the weekend. I don't know how long that lasted, but majority of the life that I remember, every other week. Anyway, my mom, she doesn't really talk to her family. So on my mom's side, it's literally just my mom, her mom, which is my Nana, and that's really it for my mom's side. There are different points. There were some other people, but my whole life really was just them. On my dad's side, they're really in contact. Everyone's in contact with each other. But when I was at my dad's house, the people I would live with beside my sister, it was my dad and then his mom, which is my grandma. And I love them, okay? Who doesn't love their family, you know? Deep down, it's so hard because family, especially dysfunctional, sometimes can really get under your skin and get in your brain. And no matter how badly maybe they may treat you, you still go back to them, or you just feel these invisible restraints, or it's you're shackled to them, and you just can't break that shackle. That's how I've been feeling recently, and it really sucks because at the end of the day, that's my family, you know? I love my family, and I think what really sucks about my dad's side is that everyone is so intertwined with each other that if I cut off one toxic person, I truly, in order to actually cut that person off, would have to cut off everyone. And I think that's just been eating away at me recently because I am so freaking tired of the gaslighting and the manipulation and those invisible shackles. And as someone who is a mom, who has a 4-month-old daughter, and if I cry, we're going to ignore this. As someone who has a 4-month-old daughter, has mental health issues, and has been through certain things because of her family, I would never in a million years want my daughter to go through that. And in the past, I did cut off my dad. There was a time in my life in 2023 where I did not talk to my dad for 3 months. I cut him off in October and I didn't talk to him again until December. And honestly, did I ever plan on talking to him again? No. But as I said earlier, you have to cut off everyone. I didn't want to cut off my grandma. And so, my grandma kept messaging me and was like, hey, you should talk to your dad again. You should talk to your dad again. Shh. Sorry, I think because I'm getting upset, she's getting upset in her sleep. I know that might sound crazy, but they really feel connected to you the first year of their life. But yeah, so I didn't want to cut off my grandma, even though she can be just as toxic as my dad. It's really hard when you have this type of, it's okay, baby. It's really hard when you have that type of family dynamic. So my grandma kept telling me, hey, like, you should talk to your dad again. You should talk to your dad again. And at some point, I kind of just was like, you know what? Let me just talk to my dad again. And ever since then, and reconnecting with my dad, things have been okay. We haven't really argued or anything like that. But unfortunately, that toxic mindset is still around. Once my dad and I rekindled, we did have like a little conversation between us. I don't remember everything that was said because that was 3 years ago. But one thing that I just knew is that even if I talked to my dad again, like, I was not going to be best friends with my dad. I was not going to be calling up my dad every day and being like, hey dad, hey dad, hey dad. I was not going to be texting him every day. However, if my dad ever called me or texted me and I could answer, like, I wasn't going to purposely ignore him or anything like that. So that's really how our relationship has been. I don't live close to my dad. I don't go to my dad's house all the time. And it's because I feel personally that is what works best for me. I don't want to have an extremely close relationship with him. But he is still there, and he is still in my life, and he is in my daughter's life. And I personally feel that my dad over the years has grown as a person and has gotten better, but he does not, at least to my face, he still doesn't understand why our relationship didn't work out and why we had issues. And he's still deep down, or at least to my face, because I'm not my dad, I'm not in his head, I don't think he realizes that he's done anything wrong. And the reason that I say that is because, like, I know that he probably knows he's maybe made some mistakes in life, because everybody does. However, sometimes when he brings up things that happened in the past, he'll be like, oh, you were being a brat. The fact that you thought that I was being a brat, or like purposely doing something to make you upset, shows me, my 22-year-old self, that you do not understand why, like, our relationship wasn't working out and why I cut you off to begin with. And sometimes, like, those are the moments where I sit here and I'm like, I don't want my daughter to have to deal with the toxicness of my dad's side of the family. And I would hate for her to have some of the bad thoughts that my sister and I have. Because keep in mind, I'm the oldest, I'm 22, my sister's 19 years old, and we both have gone through a lot when it comes to our dad's side and the mental. And, like, people forget that mental abuse can have a huge effect on people. The gaslighting, all of that stuff can really negatively affect somebody. Say hi. My daughter is wide awake all of a sudden, so she'll be here with us as I tell these stories. But, like, people just don't realize, like, that can actually really negatively impact someone. It can impact the way that they think, the way that they live their life, like, and traumas are there that you don't even know until maybe you go to therapy, or maybe you don't go to therapy. But the reason this is so heavily on my mind is because Father's Day was recently. As I'm filming this, I'm not sure when this would go up, but Father's Day was yesterday. And last year on Father's Day, which I actually did talk about this in my other episode as well, because I was talking about my birthday. But last year, my birthday ended up on Father's Day. My birthday is June 15th. That has happened a couple times throughout my life. And my dad and my grandma last year got mad at me because I didn't go see my dad in person for Father's Day. Even though I texted him and made sure to say happy Father's Day, it was my birthday. I was out of town. I'm from New York. I was in Philadelphia going to a museum with my boyfriend and my mom and stuff. So I genuinely could not go see my dad, okay? Also, my mom's house is an hour from my dad's house, and we were in Philadelphia. So it's not like when we came home, I could go drive, like, and do all this stuff. Like, he's not as close You know, it's not like he lived 5 minutes down the road. He's far away. So I didn't go see him last year. And my dad and my grandma got mad at me. They did not really say anything for my birthday. They did not really post anything. And I don't care if you don't post about me, but it's just something they do every year. They did it this year. They did it the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. But they didn't do it last year. And that really, really, really upset me. And it sucks when you have family like that make you feel so disgusted about yourself because you're disappointing them, and because and you are the worst person in the world because you didn't do this one thing, and being shamed like that. I have dealt with that my whole life, and it sucks because that was a constant thing from being a kid till now. It's hard for me to be like, you know what, I don't need those people in my life, let me cut them off, because that constant guilt they built in my brain will always eat away at me. And so this Father's Day, obviously I have this sweet little chunk, and it was my boyfriend's first Father's Day, her dad's first Father's Day. I want to celebrate it with him. If he wanted to be like, hey, let's bring your dad, let's do the, okay. But it's his first Father's Day. It's about him. So, his first one. My dad has had 22. I asked him what he wanted to do, and I said, hey, whatever you want to do, let's do it. He wanted to actually hang out with his dad. So you know what? We invited his dad over and his siblings because we recently moved. They haven't been to our town yet. We figured, let's invite them to the town. We'll go on a walk because my boyfriend wanted to go on a small hike. We went on the small hike. We went into town. We, ate food together. It was a great day. However, I didn't go to my dad's. My sister had work. So because she had work, her job, she told them, hey, on Father's Day, schedule me later in the day. She even put it in the system that they have, to make schedules. She changed her availability. She said, hey, on Father's Day, I can't work until 4. So can you please put me at 4? And they're like, okay. So she told my dad and my grandma, hey, I should be able to stop by before work. Mind you, she lives an hour. My dad lives an hour from my sister. So Sunday comes, I don't know what day my sister gets her schedules, but the day came where my sister got her schedule, and she goes, Maddie, I don't know what to do because they didn't listen to me, and I can't call out because they already put my 2 weeks in, and I need to work these days. So my sister was not able to call out yesterday for Father's Day, and was not able to go see my dad. And she said, it's not like she's lying to their face or something and going to go hang out with someone else. Genuinely, she was at work from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night. My dad's an hour away. What is she gonna do? Wake up at 5 in the morning? That's just unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? That's just unrealistic. Was there a chance? Yes, but she would have had to wake up really early, go down there, so that she didn't have to rush and whatever. So she texted them and was like, hey, I told my job that I can't work till this time, but they didn't listen and they scheduled me, and I'm not able to call out. And so she let my dad know, hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it, my job, blah, blah, blah. Then tells my grandma. My grandma goes, and she said, well, then when are you going? And my sister was like, well, I want to try and maybe plan something with me, so that we can all go together. And my sister and I bought my dad a present from me, her, and my sister. So I don't know what my sister said to my dad, but she was like, oh, Maddie has your present. I'm not able to come down, but we'll plan another day. And my dad just said, okay, didn't really say anything. And, I don't think my dad was mad at me this time, but, I think he was upset with my sister, but it's that's out of her control. I don't know what you want. But then my grandma says, maybe we can all get together on the 5th of July because my dad is not going to be here. He's going on a cruise at the end of this week. So he's not going to be here, and he's going to get back on 4th of July or something later in the day. So then, like, you know, then she goes, I'm kind of disappointed. And my sister said, me too. Because she wanted to go. But, like, when you have work, you know. And if you can't call out, you can't call out. And it's so funny because for something else, they would have said, oh, it's okay, it's life. You know, you can't always get off. But because it's Father's Day and it involves my dad, it's like, oh, no, like, you should have, you know. So then Lizzie goes, my sister, oh, me too. My grandma goes, you should have called out of work when you get off. And Lizzie said 10 p.m. Then my grandma states, neither one of you girls passed my test this year. My sister said, what test? Grandma never answered. It's that fucking bullshit. It is that. It is that gaslighting and manipulation that makes me want to never talk to them again. And I'm so glad she did not text me that, because genuinely, we probably would not be speaking anymore. Because I can't. Like, if anyone else has ever been through this, I kid you not, it's probably one of the most heartbreaking and frustrating things you probably have ever gone through. Or at least for me. I love my family. I don't want to not talk to them. But I have even said it to my therapist. How can I ever heal in life if I am still hearing these same negative freaking concepts from the same people? And because the way that my dad and grandma raised my sister and I, like, all I can think of is, oh, well, they've helped me with this. They've helped me with that. If I cut them off, I'm such a horrible person. Like, I'm not even thinking of myself. I'm not thinking, like, but, like, then I'm like, oh, well, I don't want my daughter to go through that. And I'm tired of going through this. But at the same time, it's like my brain is so rewired to think and put them first that it's like, it's like my brain is like battling. Like, it's like one's the logic, one's the unlogic, and they're like fighting each other. Like they're at the World War freaking 3 or something. And it like, I just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do. And I'm just at a point in my life where it's like, I want to break the trauma cycle. I want to break the negative, toxic family. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like enmeshed families, but I have heard of like some stuff, obviously as someone who has struggled with mental health and other things like that. I have heard of like enmeshed families and like things like that. And sometimes I'm like, literally, because my family has unspoken rules. And my family is very dysfunctional. But I have like unspoken rules that it's like we always had to follow. Like, we always had to see my dad on his birthday, my dad on Father's Day, like same for my grandma. We had to see, like, it's like, you know, strict. This year for Easter, my grandma was sick. She was born at the end of February. She was still a newborn. She also was born small. And I don't want you around my baby. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. Even if my boyfriend was sick, which actually he was recently, he had strep throat, guess what? He slept in the living room. Okay? And also, like, I wasn't being mean by doing that, but like, we don't want her to get sick. He had strep throat. She is almost 4 months old. I know she will get sick in her lifetime, but she is still a baby. And I did not want to go around my grandma on Easter. This year was my dad's year for Easter. And we made plans to go and everything, but last minute my grandma got sick, and she's so funny, and I did not want to go because, you know what, I was trying to make the safety and health of my daughter the top priority because of the fact that I don't want anything to happen to her. And, you know, we could have done something a different day or when my grandma felt better. So I told my grandma, and my grandma made my sister and I feel bad. She's like, you know what, she's like, I'm done trying for holidays. I'm just going to spend them by myself. I can't like believe that you should do this. You do this every year. Like, you know, saying a whole bunch of stuff like that. And obviously my sister and I, like, felt bad, even though, like, we were, like, it wasn't our fault, but we just felt bad. And we did tell my dad about that, and my dad was on our side. And he was like, yeah, you know, she's acting ridiculous. She needs to cut it out, blah, blah, blah. But, like, my dad felt that way that time, but, like, the year before, like, he wasn't like that. And, like, I don't know what my dad is feeling when it came to yesterday, Father's Day, but he did text me and be like, oh, how's my little girl doing today? Like, talking about my daughter. I was like, oh, like, we were about to go on our hike, and, like, you know, whatever. But, like, I am just so exhausted. The bags are getting heavier as time has gone on here. And it just sucks because I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. I feel like I am so blinded by the negativity that I've been taught and the cycles that are the toxic cycles that are in my family. Because my grandma's mom, so my great grandma, is still alive. She's, I think, 90 now. And they live together currently. And they will, if my great grandma's mad at my grandma, she'll just stop talking to her and ignore her. And my grandma has done the same thing to me. When I was 17, I got this bat tattoo, and I lied and didn't tell them that I was getting it because I know that they didn't like tattoos. And I already knew that they were going to tell me that I shouldn't get it or say something. So I just was like, oh, my mom and I are going to celebrate my birthday. I got a tattoo. And my grandma was like, you're a deceitful little B word. How dare you? Like, didn't talk to me for a while. I don't know how long. I can't remember. But that is the negative, toxic pattern in my family. And if any of my family sees this, I honestly do not care. Because if you have a problem with anything that I'm saying, then you are genuinely part of the problem. Because this is the truth. This is the flat out truth of how our family works. And if you don't agree, then you are blinded yourself. That is just the truth, okay? My dad used to say, oh, I'm sure she told you I'm the worst dad in the world. All I'm doing is telling the truth. I have lied a lot, yes, but not when it came to that. I would lie to my dad's face about certain things that I was doing or not doing, or maybe my grandma, and that is because I did not feel that they were safe people that I could be open and honest with without getting a lecture, without getting yelled at. I just didn't feel like they were people that I could be honest with without feeling judgment. And that is the truth at the end of the day. If I feel like you're not going to judge me, then yeah, I'll probably tell you the truth. And I speak like this and have social media as an outlet because even though people are going to see this that don't know me and my own family could see it, I'm not saying things straight to their face, so I guess it's easier to get out. But I feel like I have had a lot of times in my life where I didn't have anyone safe to talk to. Like, I could talk to my mom and I can talk to my sister, but besides them, sometimes they weren't enough because of how much guilt and feeling that I was feeling. I felt so overwhelmed that I felt like I needed someone else to talk to. And I think that's why I've always had a calling to social media and why I love sharing my life, because it is an amazing outlet. It is like a journal, but I'm talking and not writing, which is a lot easier. And instead of deleting these videos, I upload them and get my feelings out. I don't know what that loud sound is outside. And another thing about my family, I did just put a sweatshirt on real quick and waited for that noise to go so it's not blaring at you guys in the background. But another thing about my family is that there's a lot of that's just your grandma. Guys, that is you just ignoring the problem. And that's what I've come to learn. Because I say the same thing. Oh, that's my grandma. That's just how they are. That's just how my dad is. But I'm avoiding the problem. At the end of the day, if I'm being honest with myself, I am avoiding the problem. And I just don't want to live in these invisible shackles. And I really don't know what the best thing is to do. Because cutting off family can be so hard. And right now, like, I think it sucks too because, like, my dad and I's relationship is not the worst it's ever been. And it just sucks. But I'm tired of, like, having these feelings and, like, having these days where I'm sitting here and beating myself up all day in my head because of things that are being said to me or because of feelings that are being relived because something else happens. So I need some water there after that rant. It just is a lot. And I know it's easier said than done to cut off family. I cut off my dad before, and although yes, we have a good relationship now, if I could like change anything, I would still cut off my dad. And like, if I had the option, I still would have cut him off when I did, because I think that that did help our relationship, getting that space and not talking. But it just sucks. I don't have a lot of people in my life, and I think that's something I've just always struggled with. And, you know, it can be hard when you already feel lonely, but, like, the only people that you have in your life aren't making you feel the best. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, and it's hard to talk about, and it's hard to actually do what deep down you know is the right thing. And my therapist has asked me, like, you know, have you thought about cutting them off and stuff like that? And I've said yes, but it's like, there's just this, like, as I said, like, shackle on me, and I feel like I just can't. I can't. And yeah, it's been a little rough. I feel like my emotions are all over the place. I'm trying to just, you know, enjoy my life with my boyfriend and our daughter. And we don't live close to really any family, but it sucks because I don't live close to, like, my sister and my mom. And I think that can be hard too, because, like, I don't have them as support as much as I would love them to be here. You know, unfortunately, life does happen, and sometimes you can't live close to the people that you would want because of work. Like, my boyfriend's job is the reason why we are not able to be close to my mom and my sister. And I'd love for them to hang out with Lenore more because they love her. She like loves my sister. Every time I have my sister on the phone, her face brightens up. She's smiley. She's like jumping at the screen. Same for my mom. But yeah, life can be really hard when you have family that's just dysfunctional, and when you're trying to heal. And I think also what's crazy is I don't think that my dad and grandma have any idea that they both have put me through trauma. And they both have made me feel bad about myself so much when I was growing up that now as an adult, I struggle with certain things. Because the other day, I was telling my grandma that I have an appointment with I think she's a psychologist, whatever one can diagnose and prescribe medication. I have an appointment coming up with one of them, and I was telling her that I don't really know if I want to be on medication for any like depression or anything like that. But if I do have ADHD, which is something that they've been like kind of on the fence about, like I've had like different therapists tell me, hey, you should try and get evaluated for ADHD. And I was telling my grandma, like, oh, I don't plan on going on any antidepressants ever again, because the antidepressants I was ever on never helped me. They made me feel worse, and I feel so much better off medication. It's not even funny. Medication is not for everybody. Some people it really helps, some people it doesn't, and that's just how it is. But I said, my number one diagnosis, besides like my depression, is my borderline personality disorder. And borderline personality disorder is a trauma-based disorder. So medicine can maybe assist with maybe if you have mood swings or something like that, but it will not take away the trauma, because you cannot fix trauma with medication. And my grandma goes, what trauma though? She's like, what trauma have you been through in life? Like, why do they say that you have like a traumatic disorder or something? And I was like, well, you know, trauma doesn't have to be the extreme of extreme. It can be on a scale. There's minor trauma, and then maybe there's like extreme trauma, like PTSD from like war and stuff like that. I was like, but you know, I've been through a lot with like friends and different things like that. Like she doesn't like, and my dad has joined in therapy sessions with me before, and by what he has said to the therapist also has made me realize that he doesn't really get it. And you know what? Like, they won't. And that is something that I will have to live with, that they will never get it because they are not me. Just like I probably don't understand how they feel because I am not them. And that is another thing that I've learned throughout life, is that you can't keep fighting for people to understand you, because unfortunately some people just never will. Some people might, but at the end of the day, no one knows you best besides yourself. No one knows what's best for you besides yourself. And that's why having a good relationship and trusting yourself is probably one of the number one things that you can do to be happy, because you are you. What? And at the end of the day, when no one else is there, you will be here. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end this episode here. Family issues suck, and if anyone else is struggling, I feel you. And I will see you guys next time for the next episode. Bye.